You're tuning in to Measurement Made Easy. I am your host, Dr. Elena Schlachta. In this short video, we dig into this wonderful thing called self-inflation bias. It is something that each one of us who wants to measure and evaluate learning using self-report all have to navigate at some point. Self-inflation bias came up with my dear friend Rabia Khan. She and I worked together to create a measurement strategy for her one-day workshops where she couldn't use surveys to evaluate the changes in skills and mindset after her one-day data literacy workshop. And so our solution went great, except we had some self-inflation bias show up that skewed our data. So what did we do about it? We used storytelling in place of surveys to allow us to capture a baseline of how people feel about working with data and their skills and experiences working with data literacy. That worked brilliantly for us. So if you're wondering, how do I navigate self-inflation bias in your own approach to evaluation, whether you're using surveys or you're using interactive tools like we did, this video will show you how. I also want to bring to your attention, I have an entire measurement prescription detailed for you that you can follow step by step, not only the process that Rabia and I used in her one-day workshops to evaluate skill changes, and also in that prescription, as you can see here, the lessons learned and what we would do differently are also captured for you. Our goal with these videos is to make measurement easier for you, and hopefully you can learn from our mistakes such that you can take a better approach and get better data from your evaluation strategies. Please use the comment section down below to ask questions, share how you're feeling about this approach, and if you do use it yourself, how it went. Good luck and stay tuned for another episode and micro-learning video of Measurement Made Easy coming to you next week. Until then. I love these two-part conversations. We get to dig into what often is a missed opportunity around creating solutions to really any challenge, measurement and evaluation in particular. We get to go behind the scenes and talk about how things actually went. And so I'm excited to dig into that with you. And before we do that, Rabia, can you just remind the listening audience, what was your challenge and what was the solution that we came up with?
Okay, thanks, Elena. So I had a challenge that I run these one-day online data literacy workshops for a third party, and a lot of we were getting very low response rates on the pre and post because they were no longer captured. So I wanted some advice on how could I evaluate what people were learning from the workshop. It's only one day, but also like a before and after that we could do within the workshop. So that was the challenge. And also the other challenge was people were coming from very different backgrounds, from different organizations with different skills. So that was the other challenge as well.
Got it. And so to summarize, you have a one-day workshop, it's online, bringing together participants with a variety of experience levels and even interest in being there in the first place. And you don't have a lot of control over evaluating the changes, the skill development, or the changes in mindset that come about after that one day. And you were wanting a solution for that.
Yes, exactly. You nailed it.
So it sounded like there were two key things that you really wanted to see change at the end of the day. One, and you mentioned this already, was mindset. How are people thinking differently about the ease, intuitiveness, or even usefulness of data literacy? And the second one I hear you saying using case studies was about we want to see some change in skill development. I know one day it's a tall order, especially with something as complex as data literacy, to see significant change, but there may be some sort of incremental changes that you can start see budding at the result of that one day. And it sounds like the mindset and the skill development, those were the two most important things to track. And yes, we decided that you would do pre-post inside of the learning experience while everybody is together and doing some questionnaire or some activities to capture how people were thinking about using data, the usefulness, their feelings around it before and then after. And it sounds like you picked a case study to track how easy and intuitive it was for somebody to do the case study before the day of training and then again afterward. So now that we've got everybody refreshed and caught up on what was the challenge, what we said we were going to do, how did it go?
Okay, thanks, Alana. The first challenge was the word cloud did not work because people's computers just couldn't handle it. I don't know. I don't know. I think they were using work computers. Yeah. No, I think it was to do with their work computers. So the word cloud was an utter failure kind of thing. It worked on mine. It just didn't seem to work on half the audience. So that bit didn't work. The mindset was interesting because at the beginning of the day, I gave them a couple of quiz type things to try to get an idea of people's mindset from an six multi choice kind of saying. And it was interesting because everybody kind of said, the mindset was at this super data literate kind of mindset. So they all kind of chose E. But when they were talking about it during the day, I realized no, that's not their mindset. So people kind of knew what they should be, but that's the answer they gave, but they weren't really at that kind of level. So I think it was a more what is that? There's a social desirability bias kind of thing. They couldn't see how other people voted, and I wasn't sharing that particular one, but you could see that they knew that was the right answer. So the mindset one didn't work as well as I hoped it would, because I think people just either didn't have the self awareness or were not entirely I think they weren't entirely like thinking, "Ooh, is this a safe space?" Because it is the beginning of the day, kind of thing.
You know, one thing that might be interesting as we reflect just
Mm,
on this
mm,
first, how this first part, the pre-capture
mm,
went.
mm,
And so we had a couple of issues. One was technology, which we can dive
mm,
into. And then the other one was that social desirability and
mm,
self-inflation
mm,
bias. And so how do we address that? Because you
mm,
only have two data points, the
mm.
pre and the post, because it
Yeah.
you could maybe do something in the middle
Mm,
of the day,
mm,
and perhaps that's an option, but still with only three data points, it's a bit tough to have a clear picture of the
mm.
kinds of changes when people are already coming in with sort of the right answers around
Yeah.
mindset. So what might be really interesting is to do a breakout, which is a great way, of course, as like an icebreaker for folks to get to know each other. And then you ask them to just introduce themselves to each other in small groups of 4 or 5, 3, 4 to 5, and then to have them share organically, what's your experience with working with data? And just let them sort of tell stories. And then when the group comes back together, you can ask for a volunteer to represent the group and to answer the question on behalf of the group as a whole. On average, what's your experience with data literacy or working with data? And then you could either answer the pre questions without them knowing, or you could ask the representative to then respond to the poll questions. You know, of these six options for your group, how would you describe the experience working with data? And then the person is sort of representing the whole group and it's a little bit more objective. Or again, if you don't want to put the onus on a volunteer, maybe they feel uncomfortable with that, you could ask somebody to report and just summarize, hey, what did you hear? And then on the back end, on your tablet or iPhone, you could be answering the question or making notes to then answer it later. And then you could still use the same pre-post poll. Hey, by the way, I did a poll response of how every group responded. This is where the group as a whole sat. And now go ahead and rate yourselves on how you feel about data literacy, and then we'll compare them. That could be a really interesting way that might remove some of the initial self-inflation bias and social desirability bias, because by the end of the day, they should have more trust and rapport having worked with you, understanding a little bit more, digging into data concepts a bit more to have a better sense of, do I really know this stuff or not? And maybe they'll answer a bit more honestly at the end versus at the beginning. Knowing what you know now about how
Mm,
things went,
mm,
what would you do differently?
mm. I think one of the things, so the other bit of the evaluation was the skill set, and I found
Mm-hmm.
that was really useful. So I gave a case
Mm-hmm.
study, got them to say, "How would you do this?" And
Mm-hmm.
then got them to say, "From A, I had no idea. I don't even know what I was supposed to do to E. This is easy for me. I do it all the time." And
Mm-hmm.
what I found was really interesting was there was a whole range of answers in that one. So people were,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the workshop, the people who had given themselves the top score um, actually went back one down. So
Mm.
everybody else went one up, kind of thing. So you
Mm-hmm.
could see that movement that everybody
Mm-hmm.
went one up
Mm-hmm.
from beginning of the day to the end of the day, whereas the
Mm-hmm.
ones people who scored themselves the highest, I think, realized that they don't know as much as they think they know, kind of thing, because they went
Mm-hmm.
down
Yeah.
one down, kind
Yeah.
of thing. So for me, it was so the things I would do differently is, and I've been talking to the third party provider, is some of those questions, including them in the pre surveys to kind of make sure people are doing the right workshop. Because I think one of the things was when you have people at that very different skill level, so you've got people who are going to be like, I just don't like numbers, to people who are like, I can do this in my sleep, and you have them in the same workshop. It's not fair for both groups. So using some of these survey questions beforehand to kind of make sure people are doing the right level for where they're at in terms of mindset, but skill as well. And if because it's a self-assessment that no, they it basically kind of guides them to which level course, beginners, intermediate, advanced. So I think it makes it much easier. So that's one of the things that I would, and I've been talking to the third party, and they've agreed as well. So that's one of the things we're going to start putting in place to make sure they're in the right fit, kind of thing.
Yep, that's fantastic. And
Mm,
any chance that we can to
mm,
offer yet another data point to
mm,
cross
yeah. Mm,
reference an
mm,
earlier data
yeah.
point, which is this is a great one. You ask them to do a case study and you ask
Mm,
them to reflect on how it felt. So you
yeah.
had their performance, how
Mm,
accurate were they,
mm,
but then how they felt about it. And you could look at the
mm,
responses and just
mm,
learn a bit
yeah.
more about
Mm,
maybe this group thinks they have more skills than they
yeah.
actually do. And the truth of the matter is, you get to look at that data cohort
Mm,
over
mm,
cohort, and
yeah.
maybe you'll find that there's a trend that most
Mm,
people overinflate their
mm,
skills. And as a result, maybe you change
mm,
how the entire system and program is delivered. Who
yeah.
knows? Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. Well, is there
Mm.
anything else that you learned in this experience that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I think one of the things, I think it's something what you just said, it really reminded me about that overinflation of people's own skill level.
Yeah.
I think that that was because I did the measurements on two different workshops, and that was coming through quite clearly. I found this
Mm-hmm.
kind of over and inflation, and it was more about them tweaking. And I did that for the last one. I'll do that for the next one, tweaking it in a way that people realize where they're actually at
Mm-hmm.
some point in the workshop,
Mm-hmm.
and then how much they have got to learn, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of giving them that reference point. So I did change a bit just so that people who thought they were very, very good somewhere along the line kind of figure out maybe they're not as good as they think they
Mm-hmm.
are, and that
Yeah.
there's this room for growth.
Yeah. And I appreciate that too,
Mm,
because if we don't believe
mm,
that we have opportunities to improve our
mm,
skills, we're going to be
mm,
less likely to take initiative to develop
mm,
skills. We'll be maybe even overinflated in the products that we put
mm,
out, maybe even less open to feedback from
mm,
supervisors or peers, anyone
yeah,
that questions our work,
mm,
because
mm,
we think that we're right. And
yeah,
I've been there. I'm an
mm,
expert. What are
mm,
you saying? This is wrong.
yeah,
I also know I
mm,
also know that I can be easily wrong even though I'm an expert. And so that
yeah,
mentality is really
mm,
healthy to
mm,
just always be open to continuous learning and
yeah,
feedback, because where we think we are isn't
mm,
always where we actually are. And then the more we
yeah,
know,
mm,
the more we realize we have so much more to know. And
yeah,
so I'm glad that that was an outcome
yeah,
also for you.
mm,
Yeah. And
yeah.
for your participants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it made that me for me it meant I had to be very explicit. So I think a lot of it was very implicit, but kind of make it a bit in your face, if that makes sense, kind of thing.
Yeah.
In terms of so people kind of realize, oh, there's actually a lot more
Mm-hmm.
that I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. What we don't know that we don't know is
Yeah.
lovely to
Mm.
discover
Yeah.
as we grow our competencies and skills and
Mm.
confidence. Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, Rabia, thank you for coming back and sharing your learnings and
Mm.
reflections and letting us dig into that, because I know
Mm.
you do these workshops all the time. So hopefully you feel
Yeah.
even more equipped to make the next iteration
Mm.
of your measurement and evaluation solution. And Rabia, if people want to stay in touch with you and the work you're doing, remind us again where they can find you and how they can stay engaged.
Okay, so they can find me on LinkedIn. So I do post regularly on LinkedIn about data literacy, measurement, and evaluation. They can also find me on my website, on my social enterprise website, which is dataactionimpact.com. I think you've got that link in the show notes. So click me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn, and we have a lot of these resources on my website as well. Thanks,
Fantastic. You're so welcome, and thank you. And thank you for the audience who is learning along with us as we all build our skills and confidence measuring and evaluating learning. Until next time.